Hi everybody, my name is Lisa.
I'm Shaan.
I'm Kelly.
We're 98 Degrees. We created an app called Spur of the Moment, and the inspiration of this was we could thank Shaan for this because he says every walk out on a Friday night and look around and say to yourself, damn, I wish there was a super cool concert this weekend to go to that's within walking distance from my office, home, favorite bar, or even where I'm standing right now. So the Spur of the Moment is right up your alley. By using the Brands-In-Town API, the Spur of the Moment website is able to give you a concert recommendations for upcoming events based on an artist of your choosing, along with the venue name and geographic location. So that was pretty much, I wanted to create a fishing app for my husband, but as soon as he said this, I said, this is a great idea. So my husband's kind of upset, but that's on the back burner. So anyway, we have a little timeline here where we went through a couple of things. We right away created a Slack group and shared phone numbers and email addresses, started to talk about the APIs, and it was all agreed this was a great idea. So the coding was, headquartered by our MVP, Kelly, and she started, just working on the code right away. She just like dug into it, and we were looking for the APIs and ran into a little problem with one API, and we were able to resolve that with a JSON-P or whatever, right? We'll explain that later, but all right.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, I would just combine all the coding, JavaScript, CSS, jQuery. That's something that happened this week, and today we're here presenting.
So basically, what we did, we kind of broke it down in a couple different ways. I did some of the API integrations primarily. Kelly did a lot of the JavaScript logic as well. And what we were really trying to do was use the geolocation capabilities within Google Maps, kind of identify where somebody was, allow them to enter a band in, and then, or really any type of musician, and get recommendations based on what they entered, plotted on a map. The way I was thinking of this was kind of like walking out of work in the city Friday. I just want to see like where in Manhattan everything is, so I can figure out where to meet up with people. So that's kind of was one of our core things, just like keep everything concise, don't input a lot of information, and try and get as much visible on one map, one plot as possible. So to just kind of go through a little bit of our process, we also use the Brands-In-Town API. We have a search bar. Actually, I should just probably bring up the site. We have a search bar that we were able to just enter in. If I can get our site up. Right here, yeah. So we have a search bar right at the top. You can log in with Google, which will personalize the maps, give you your own landmarks where your personal Gmail type of let's put Vons, but so that kind of takes care of our authentication and kind of customizes the map a little bit. And like I said, we focused on simplicity. So we just have one search field, uses your geolocation and automatically searches 10 miles. And based on what you put in, you'll get recommendations from bands in town for concerts that are pretty similar to that. So I'll type in Yellow Card because it's nice out, it's springtime, and I know it gives me results. And once I move the map and click on it, you'll see all of the concerts pop up. If you click on one, it'll tell you exactly what the venue is, and as you scroll down, we created divs with the time, the information, who's playing, and a link to get tickets. So a lot of the div creation and kind of the jQuery dynamic creation was Kelly, so I'll let her jump into some of that a little bit.
So we wanted to have all of the information on the page, and creating the divs was kind of irritating, but we created it in the jQuery so that it runs on the API call. So when it gets all the information from bands in town, once you type in an artist, it gets you the artist and similar artists, and then it puts all of that information, it goes through a for loop, puts all that information into these divs so that you can go through it. Originally, I'd wanted it to make an accordion like list so that you could click on it and it would open, but that became a big problem with doing it. So it also includes, if you click on the link on the artist name, it brings you to their website in addition to you can get tickets by clicking on Get Tickets link. In the future, we do want to develop a little bit more the Google Maps so that when you click on that artist, when you click on that div, it will then it'll go up to the map on the page and show you, like zoom into that location. Because right now it's just, you can see the locations and you still have to reference down, and we wanted that to be more integrated. So that's what we would like to work on in the future.
Yeah, that was one of the things we kind of struggled a little bit with, was dealing with the Google Maps API. Didn't always allow us to put information in as easily and take it out as easily as we wanted or anticipated. So we had to kind of pivot around that and work around that a little bit. So some improvements we definitely want to make in the future is to have, like Kelly said, a lot more of that information right on the map, so you can get your link right where all the information is displayed. Make it a little more mobile friendly that way as well, and really just kind of make it a little more streamlined, a little more succinct, and just easier to work across different platforms.
One other thing is with the table right now, so you type in your first band name that you want to look up, Yellowcard, and it will bring up everything that's Yellowcard and Yellowcard related and put it in a list. Then if you wanted to say look up another band, it will allow you to look up that other band and it will add on to the div. So you'll be able to you can look up 2 artists at once and it will give you, or honestly as many as you want because it's a for loop, so it will keep going. So you can just keep adding artists and it will you'll have a really long list of cool things
We
to
have
do.
like a for loop and a loop too, so that if it has like a backup band or a band that is introducing the other band, both of them will show up.
Yep. So I know you guys have seen this project kind of 3 times already, or that they're good at it. So we'll keep it short. And if you guys have any questions, we'd be more than happy to answer them. Or if any of the groups that did similar things wanted to know if we ran into the same problems as you guys, which you probably did, feel free to ask us and pick our brains about it.
So, yep.
Any questions? Anybody?
Yeah, so like, what was your workflow like, out of curiosity? Do you guys use branches, like how pull requests?
You want to know?
It was honestly a disaster. We all had different branches, and we all were working on completely different files with completely different file structures. And half of our branches, Lisa had to make a second branch. My branch doesn't even connect to the master. I have no idea why.
Yeah, it was a little messy, but like we were able to mitigate that with good communication with each other.
Yeah, we just.
So like like me and Kelly, like we would be on like Slack, we'd be slacking each other back and forth. I wanted to avoid merge conflicts. I'd name something with like the date at the end of it, but we'd be able to at least communicate and get the code that we needed from each other, and
Most
clone
of
the
the time
code
we
that
were
we
working
had.
on like Google Hangouts. Like last night, we were just on Google Hangouts and coding at the same time so that we could send information back and forth without overlapping anything that we were doing.
Yeah, so it wasn't as much of an integral part or like a fundamental part of our workflow as I would have liked it to be, but we were able to just kind of use some old school person-to-person communication to get around that.
How did you decide who was working on what?
We pretty much just.
I guess in the beginning we kind of thought about what people liked or wanted to do or felt they were good at. So I know that Lisa was pretty interested in like the front end and doing some of the theming and the bootstrap. I was pretty interested in building the Ajax calls and trying to pull the information out of bands and towns and working with these different APIs. Something that was really appealing to me and something I've been previously very tangentially exposed to. So I wanted to learn more, and I know that Kelly, was
I wanted to do a little bit of everything. So I worked a lot, mostly on the JavaScript, and then on compiling all of the files together, because we worked mostly on our JavaScript files. So then when it came time to put it into the HTML file that Lisa created, we ran into some conflicts that we didn't even think would be a problem. So we did most.
and like we found there was a fair amount of overlap as well between our different sections too. So it wasn't so much as like a clean division of labor. It was more like we had our own central areas, and but there was always like that center part of the Venn diagram, so to speak, where we all kind of pitched in.
I just want to say, too, that we have the 98 Degrees website, too. If anybody wants to send us an email, it's active, so you can send us comments about our site.
Did you have one more?
Yeah, one more. Could you go over the code? And
Oh, yeah.
show us like the code that you're most proud of.
Sure. Do you have one in particular that you're proud of?
Is
The
the
most proud
GitHub
of?
up here? Did you open it?
Yeah, it's probably.
Go ahead, Kelly, you go for it. You're the one who wrote it, most of
I
it.
think it's under.
We had a loop in a loop, which was kind of cool and tricky.
Your
so-
Ajax calls. So our bands in town API, it was that's what Shaan worked on.
Yeah. One thing I did that I kind of liked that I did with the APIs is when we get the API responses, I don't know if this is the best way to go about it, but I would immediately take the entire object and kick it out to like a variable that wasn't purely global, but like global enough that we could use it wherever we had to. And the reason I thought it was a cool idea, it's not that it was tricky code or anything, but conceptually I thought of it as almost taking the entire object and the info I needed and like stapling it to the top of the page. Because like the Bands in Town API, the response would come back with like pretty much all the info you needed. And then like even second levels and third levels, because one show could have multiple artists. So I really kind of liked that that concept really of as soon as I get the response, let's kick it out front so we can reuse that information in a variety of different contexts, but we can reference it in one specific area.
Yeah.
It helped our code stay logical and helped keep some of our variables consistent.
Those variables were extremely important in every aspect of the code. We had to use it for the Google Maps, for the table creation, for the submit button, everything we referred to those variables that we created. It's just easier to find the information that way.
Yeah, and especially when we're collaborating across people, it was helpful to have like bit response, bands in time response. We know it's pulling that entire response, putting in that variable. So yeah, I liked that. Anybody else have any more questions?
Why did you use one JavaScript file?
Um,
Because I think that could have caused you a lot of problems where you all working on the same file and cause issues with conflict.
that's definitely a good question. I mean, we merged it together into one file at the end, really,
Yeah.
because like it tended to be more like I'm doing the APIs in the map, Kelly was doing more of the logic, and it was almost sequential in how we had to do it regardless. Like
Yeah.
my part had to be done first.
It
right?
was, yeah. His part had to be done first for us to pretty much move on to anything else, and we also needed it. We needed to be able to see everything because all of the variables are used in all of the different functions on the page, from Google Maps to everything. So it was just easier.
Cool.
Probably made more sense. Yeah.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.